Welcome back to Thibbleberry U. I'm John Jagay. I'm joined as always by Amy Walls from Thibbleberry Financial. Amy, always good to be with you.
Jag, it's great to be talking to you.
And today we're talking about healthcare professionals, especially physicians and high-earning medical employees, those not working in private practice. We're talking specifically about financially preparing for something increasingly common, and that is career burnout. I know we've seen that since COVID. Recent studies show over 50% of healthcare professionals experience burnout symptoms, and nearly 1/3 seriously consider cutting back or leaving those careers entirely.
Yeah, absolutely, Jag. This is a conversation that we are regularly having with our clients that work in healthcare. And, I'll just put this out there. Prevention really is the best medicine when we're talking about burnout.
It's true in medicine and it's true in burnout. Gotcha, yeah.
Absolutely. And, there's obviously prevention, the healthcare ways of avoiding burnout, reducing stress, all those things. But we're really here to talk about financial preparedness, because that financial preparedness gives anybody flexibility, choice, and peace of mind. And for healthcare professionals facing burnout, that is so important.
Absolutely.
Because too often, the comfort of the higher incomes associated with healthcare leads professionals to overlook the importance of building a financial safety net.
Yes.
And I've regularly seen individuals in this profession delay savings, convinced they can always catch up later, meaning their income's big enough that they don't have to worry about what they spend this month because they can just tighten the belt just a little bit next month and they'll be fine.
Kick that can down the road.
Yep. When burnout hits, they're now trapped because they didn't have a foundation that lets them pivot well.
Exactly.
The goal is to get people unstuck as we have this conversation today.
So, Amy, you've talked about the why. Let's get into the how. How should healthcare professionals financially prepare to avoid that trapped feeling if burnout starts to set in?
Yeah. So first of all, Jag, consistent savings habits are key. I think many of us want to think the trick and the strategy is different for us. It's not what basic, advice says. I'm different. I'm a high earner. I need to do something different. It's consistent savings habits. So even when it feels unnecessary at first, establishing savings early. So if you're listening and you're early in your career, or you're listening and you're saying, oh my gosh, I'm 20 years into my career, this isn't early. Early is the earliest you're aware and can make a change.
Okay.
Or do something different. Doing this early provides critical flexibility. And that's the piece. The flexibility adds so much healthiness in terms of financial opportunity and de-stressing. And when we're less stressed, we make better decisions.
Yes.
So, for instance, setting aside 20% or more of each paycheck can quickly build a safety net. Mm-hmm. And that doesn't mean just in your 401k, right? Or your 403b. We want to have that in a spot that is a smart place to get at money. What I'm really saying here is create an emergency fund that's covering at least 6 to 12 months of expenses at minimum. At least were the key words there. Imagine, Jag, being a high earning healthcare professional and all of a sudden having the freedom to take much needed breaks or shift roles without stress or financial obligation.
Having that money set aside of when you burn out, you can just, I need to go to Tahiti for a week and just recharge.
Absolutely. Or I am not happy in this role I'm in. I love being a doctor, a physician. But guess what? I'm no longer happy. I'm going to stop and take a break while I figure out my next role. I now have the financial freedom or flexibility to do that. Think of it like actively planning for a scenario like a sabbatical we've talked about, or, a reduced schedule. This is something that's come up with many of our clients is, what's going to happen to my retirement picture if I reduce my schedule? Maybe I go half-time for the next 5 years. Mm-hmm. I've got kids at home. I've got aging parents. I really want to be able to be there for them. And I'm feeling so burnt out with trying to balance everything. Or an early retirement.
The stereotypical sandwich generation.
Absolutely.
So, Amy, if that burnout does lead someone to a career change, I imagine one source of anxiety is income. How do they effectively protect or replace the income if they're making a career change?
So first of all, this might sound funny, but I'm going to say regularly review your disability insurance to ensure it provides adequate coverage for your income.
Okay.
And I share this because we're talking about burnout, which could be associated or is with mental health. To what extent, I can't speak to. That's individual with, the professionals involved. But disability insurance policies, if it is mental health related, may pay out. And so you want to make sure you have enough coverage as you need to, because if you can make a claim because it's mental health, well, then you've got income coming in that way.
It's a brilliant idea.
And I've seen healthcare workers underestimate their needs, realizing all of a sudden it's too late. Plan ahead. I said prevention's the best medicine. Think about alternative roles that you may be more interested in that may give you more of the flexibility. Maybe it's teaching, maybe it's consulting, maybe it's a different administrative position in healthcare. And mapping out and thinking through those potential pathways now can significantly reduce stress at the point in time you want to make the change.
Yeah.
One option we've talked with clients about, they've brought it up to us, is, well, my group, I don't have the option for a sabbatical.
Yeah.
But if I were over here with this group, I think I'd have more flexibility.
Mm-hmm.
But if they didn't pop their head up and pay attention to that while they're bogged down and feeling this burnout, they wouldn't recognize that. So even though you're burnt out, you still need to be aware of opportunities to solve the problem.
Yeah.
And once those opportunities come up, your financial advisor can really help navigate through questions and income streams of what this might look like.
And just to clarify, Amy, when you say group, you mean the employer, the position, the place where that individual is working, right?
I do. Some places will refer to it as a team or location of their specialty. Some employers, it's a group. It just depends on the employer we're talking about, how they might distinguish that. Another thing is build passive income sources. For some people, that's rental properties. Maybe it's dividend paying investments. Essentially, what I'm getting at is understand for you your options for bridging income gaps without active work. Mm-hmm. And investments can do the same thing. A lot of times I will hear people say, I need real estate, because it's how they can imagine having a paycheck come in when they just don't understand yet how to turn their investments into a cash flow.
We've talked about if burnout pushes someone to a career change. What about if burnout pushes someone to early retirement? How can you limit the negative financial consequences in that situation?
First of all, immediately updating retirement plans provides clarity on the necessary adjustments. So I've seen clients pleasantly surprised when fewer resources are needed than what they thought.
Yeah.
Which basically creates new opportunities in the form of ideas of what they may be able to do. Mm-hmm. Quickly recalibrating spending habits can protect your financial future. Often, especially when we're talking high income earners, reducing just a few discretionary expenses can significantly extend a financial runway. Looking strategically at the timing of withdrawals from retirement accounts, I'm not talking market timing.
Yep.
But, how you're going to recreate this paycheck from which account when, and the tax ramifications of those choices, and then being smart about that can stretch money further too. Mm-hmm. And understanding those pensions. Healthcare professionals often have pensions, more often than not from my experience. And so use those estimate calculators and get really good, accurate information, because that's one of the pieces that goes into this puzzle or roadmap to make assets last throughout your life.
The tool is available. You may as well use it.
Yep. And if you work with us, we're going to ask you to, because we're one of them. I want to see y'all have to put it together.
So, Amy, how can healthcare professionals structure their investments to ensure that flexibility during a burnout period?
Yeah. Well, first of all, we don't know if burnout's going to happen post 59 and a half. Ding, 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 ding. It does a lot. But it can also happen well before that. So I'd say burnout can happen equally. It's about what's going on in your life. So because of that, we need to have flexibility, really diversification of where assets are, so that you have a smart place to get at money. Having access to funds in a taxable brokerage account alongside traditional retirement accounts ensures you can access money without penalties. It's having a balance of liquidity and growth and investments to cover immediate needs, expected or unexpected, without sacrificing those future goals. So sometimes, and I've seen this several times with clients in healthcare, is, oh, we're not retiring for a while. Everything can be aggressive. We've got an aggressive risk tolerance. We've seen this, and then all of a sudden, it may not be burnout. It might be burnout, or maybe it's a new goal that pops up.
Or just life happens.
Yep, exactly. And everything's aggressive, but it's not a great time to get out money. That's a good reason to say, okay, outside of cash reserves, here's the next money you'd use. This probably shouldn't be as aggressive as your Roth IRAs.
Got it. As a side note, Amy, have you seen The Pit on HBO Max?
Yes.
So good.
I binge watched it recently.
This whole podcast is making me think of that. We just binged it too, and it is so intense. Like we couldn't watch more than like 2 episodes in a night because it was so intense. But you see the burnout on these healthcare professionals in this fictional ER in Pittsburgh, and healthcare professionals I've talked to say the show's not too far off real life.
Yeah, that's what I hear also.
It's ER meets 24 as the best description I had for 2 shows that I really enjoyed back in the day. All right.
Absolutely. That's why I turned it on. That was the description I had heard also.
All right, back to the topic at hand, Amy. What's your advice for managing financial obligations if someone does need to step away due to burnout?
It's so fun, but proactively reduce those financial obligations.
Yeah.
You know, whether that's credit cards, memberships, whatever you can do helps ease financial pressure during a career pause.
Mm-hmm.
Now might not be the best time given interest rates, but that could change. Consider refinancing mortgages or other longer-term loans to lower monthly payments. That can be a great strategy. Or is it that some things need to be paid off and there's money in the right spot to get them paid off without an extra tax bill?
Yep.
Communicate early with lenders. This would be especially someone younger, probably student loans, about potential income changes to find some manageable solutions and avoid what I'm going to call the unnecessary financial stress.
Yeah. All right. What tax implications should healthcare workers consider if they take a career break?
Yeah. So first of all, you know, if you are taking a career break, I'm going to assume that your income is going to be reduced.
Sure.
So that could potentially put you in a lower tax bracket. So that means there might be opportunity to look at withdrawals from retirement accounts based on your age, or maybe some Roth conversions that may not help you in the moment, but it might set you up better in the future. Or, oh, you're in a lower income tax bracket. Maybe normally you'd be hitting that 20% capital gains rate. You're in a place where you're going to only have to pay 15%. These are all opportunities that can be considered. And really, it's something we're regularly doing, and any good financial planner or a tax professional can help optimize financial decisions related to that. And even better, if you're working in tandem with a financial professional and a tax professional.
For sure. We've talked about income, investments, taxes so far. What about employer benefit considerations to keep in mind during a career break?
It's important to really understand retirement and pension vesting schedules.
Yeah.
You know, maybe you think, oh gosh, you know, I've been contributing, but you'd switch firms. It might be that you have a 5-year cliff vest on employer contributions into your retirement plan. So that balance that you're looking at isn't really your balance. Mm-hmm. Maybe you delay a few months and all of a sudden all that money is now yours. That might be, you know, I'd say that's probably beneficial if it's a significant amount. Consider your healthcare coverage options, right? Healthcare is not inexpensive.
Right.
And we don't know when medical emergencies are going to hit. Healthcare professionals know that better than anyone. So what does COBRA look like through your employer? What are your other options? And that needs to be included in your planning of what your costs are going to be during this break.
Absolutely.
And evaluate the timing carefully. Timing of when things happen compared to assets can have a significant financial benefit in a lot of ways that sometimes people just aren't even aware of.
Yeah.
I've touched on some of that already.
Amy, how can healthcare workers financially plan to maintain that health coverage during a burnout period?
You know, I mentioned COBRA. Maybe it's marketplace insurance plans, health savings accounts. All of those are options to cover those costs. explicitly budgeting for potential healthcare costs. We've talked about before for our tech clients, like planning sabbaticals. Some of our healthcare clients also have sabbaticals, but usually they do it because their employer offers that option. This is a lot like that, where you need to think through and budget what would happen if. What would happen if I reduce my hours? My benefits aren't quite the same.
Yeah.
So what are those consequences? And HR teams can be really helpful in this.
For sure. Amy, what is your most crucial takeaway for the healthcare professionals listening today?
Well, I think it's what I started with, Jag. Prevention is the best medicine. So financial, what I'll call proactivity, saving consistently, limiting lifestyle expansion, and preparing for flexibility is the most powerful tool financially and probably psychologically financially to combat that burnout.
For sure.
Because really taking these steps today means you've made the choice, in our conversations about control, influence, and when you have neither, to both influence and control the situation. And I think that just goes, in my professional experience, that goes so far towards comfort level with decision-making around your financial life.
For sure. Amy, if one of our medical professionals listening to this podcast wants to talk to you about planning for burnout or anything related to their financial future, how do they find you and your team at Thimbleberry Financial?
They can find us online at thimbleberryfinancial.com or by giving us a call at 503-610-6510.
Good stuff, Amy. We'll talk again soon.
Great, Jag. Thank you.
Securities offered through registered representatives of Cambridge Investment Research, Inc., a broker-dealer member FINRA SIPC. Advisory services through Cambridge Investment Research Advisors, Inc., a registered investment advisor. Cambridge and Thimbleberry Financial are not affiliated. Discussions in this show should not be construed as specific recommendations or investment advice. Always consult with your investment professional before making important investment decisions. Securities offered through registered representatives of Cambridge Investment Research, Inc., a broker-dealer member FINRA SIPC. Advisory services through Cambridge Investment Research Advisors, Inc., a registered investment advisor. Cambridge and Thimbleberry Financial are not affiliated.